All right, Jessica. Presentation for Sutter County Museum.
Okay.
Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thanks for having me. Terrell's just given me a quick little pointer on how to use the pointer. Okay. So I just hit forward and it goes. Brilliant. Much fancier technology than we have at the museum. Thank you for having me. It's been, I think, about 2 years since I was here to give a presentation to City Council. So I'm going to give just a little bit of brief history of the museum and some information that I know will be familiar to you guys. But for those people who are not as familiar with the museum, it's important to give that little bit as well. So our name until last May, as the slide in front of you does say, was the Community Memorial Museum of Sutter County. Whew. It's a mouthful. So we did some rebranding last May, and we are now the Sutter County Museum, which is much easier to remember. So, a brief history. On your left, you have Norma and Howard Harder with the very first museum director in front of the museum building right before it opened in 1975. Norma and Howard were the force behind the museum being created. They had a vision to build something for our community to memorialize the history of the early settlers and pioneers in the area. They also wanted to make sure that it would be a very long-lasting community institution. They didn't want this to be something that would last a few years and people would be excited about and then it would go away. So they did some very smart things to ensure that that would indeed be the case, particularly organizing us as a department of Sutter County, and we'll get to the details of that in a little bit. But so the museum opened in 1975. It has been expanded multiple times over the years. So what you see on your right is our facade prior to the renovations that we did last year. Renovations. So we did everything that is on that screen in front of you in 6 months. Plus a lot of little detail things that didn't fit on there in a readable font. So, but really shortly, we put a new sign out front that enables people to find us and to know that we are a museum, a lot more so than they did before. We refreshed our facade. We put a historic image of the Sutter Buttes on our front windows. We reorganized the gift shop so it's much easier to shop. We got a new front counter, new flooring and baseboards throughout the building, which means we packed and moved everything in that building. Some of them moved 2 or 3 times. Painting in a number of the interior rooms, cleared clutter out of exhibit spaces. We reorganized our office area. Thanks in part to a grant from the state of California, we put high density mobile shelving in our artifact storage areas. So that really means that we are now much better able to take care of the artifacts in our collection, which of course are the core of what a museum is and does. We also replaced our old temporary wall system in our temporary exhibits gallery, which is that big front room you come into first. And we put a new HVAC system out in our storage building, which means it's much better for our artifacts now as well. So that is what the front of the museum looks like now. So you can see we have our new logo with our new name on the front doors and that historic image of the Buttes across the front windows. We are hoping to get the exterior painted in the next year or 2 as well, which will make a really big improvement too. Here's what you look at when you come right inside. So that top left image is our new front counter. It's much smaller, but it also orients our volunteers much better for visitors. When you come in the front door, you see a friendly face now instead of someone 20 feet away at the old front desk. And then the other 2 pictures show you different parts of our gift shop and how we reorganized it so it's much easier to shop. Some of our exhibits look pretty much the same. Some things we didn't move around a lot. You guys will recognize from our agricultural wing, the one on the left is the blacksmith shop, which looks exactly the same as it did before. The one on the right is our dry yard display, and that one actually is completely redone from how it looked before. That is the high density shelving that we were able to put in our collection storage area. So easy to use. You can actually stand all the way down at that end and roll the end one and they all will move. They're so lightweight and it's so much better for our collection. We had 2 grand reopening parties. We had a VIP grand reopening party on Friday, June 14th. About 250 people came to that, which was awesome, and it was a really fun night. And then the next day we had our big public opening, June 15th. About 650 people came to that, which was great. We had food trucks, we had live music, we had kids' activities inside and out. We had a brand new temporary exhibit and just a shiny, brand new looking building to show off. So it was really a really great day. Familiar face there right in the front of the picture with me. So most of the folks there in that picture are board members of the museum as well. So as I mentioned, we are a department of Sutter County. Sutter County pays for 2 full-time employees' salaries and benefits. They pay for utilities, they pay for building maintenance and basic business expenses, think phone bill, paper, that sort of thing. Pretty much everything that makes us a museum, our nonprofit pays for. The Museum Association has been with us since day one, so we have always been organized as a partnership between Sutter County and the Museum Association, our 501c3. So they pay for all of the temporary exhibits we bring in. They pay for any upgrades or replacements of our permanent exhibits. They support our education programs. The gift shop exists because of their support, all of our marketing efforts. The artisan community garden, which we added to our property almost 2 years ago, is supported by them as well. So it really truly is a partnership. If we lost either side of that support, the museum would not be able to operate the way we do. So just a couple pictures of the permanent exhibits we have, and most of these slides are going to show you what they look like now versus what they looked like before. So this one I'm actually very excited about. So this is our exhibit on the Nisenan, the Native Americans who live here. And I'm using present tense on purpose. So our previous exhibit on the Nisenan was probably about 35 years old. It was very dated, and it turns out we had some sensitive materials on display that we didn't even realize were sensitive materials. We had some tribal representatives in the museum. They pointed that out to us, and we immediately pulled it all off display. I also had an intern. We've been getting great interns from Sac State for the last few years. We had an intern work with us who then went on to the Maidu Museum in Roseville. She came back to us and asked if, for her master's thesis project, if she could create a new exhibit on the Nisenan for us. So she did, and it's 99% done. We're having a party for that later in March. So that's our ag wing. Left picture is new, right picture is old. Multicultural gallery, again, picture on the left is an older one. You can see the new flooring in the other pictures. So it just made a big difference to all of our spaces to be able to do that work. We host temporary exhibits throughout the year. Frida Kahlo's Garden is the one that we opened with when we reopened last June. We've had a couple since then. That was an installation in our community garden to go with the Frida Kahlo exhibit. These are from the exhibit we had last fall, simple objects related to the campfire. This is our current exhibit. It's actually contemporary photography of migrant farm workers. It's only up through March 1st, and I really encourage you all to come in. We're going to have the photographer come and do a presentation. We're nailing down the date, but it'll be on our website and our Facebook page as soon as we get that put together. We do a ton of education programs for kids and adults at the museum, and in the community garden, we've added a lot of programming out there as well. We are obviously in the midst of revitalizing, so that is our new mission statement. It has been for a few years now. I can still call it new, though, given how old the museum is. So we did some planning. These are the 5 big overarching goals that came out of our strategic plan. So, getting ourselves more financially in order, continuing to build staff when we can, improving the facilities. You can see we've made good progress on a number of these goals already. Visitation, I'm not going to read you all these numbers, but the short version is it's gone up, which is wonderful. We are here for our community. We're here for every member of our community. So the more people that come in, the more we are meeting our mission. But I did want to point out how high of a percentage our visitors are from within Yuba City. So that is really high. So far for fiscal year 19-20, we're over 78%. We partner with a lot of other local agencies to offer what we offer, to do a lot of programs and exhibit things as well. We have a great gift shop, subtle plug here. We carry a lot of made in California and made on the West Coast items and a lot of history books as well. So if you're shopping for a great gift, come on in. Current projects. We took over management of Edel Hall, the rental facility behind us, in July. The revenue is already up. We're going to hopefully do a little bit of work on the building in the next year, continue to improve the facility, continue to improve our revenue from that. We just relaunched our membership program, and so now there are a variety of levels with different benefits. We are looking at a possible expansion of the Artisan Community Garden next year, and there's a few other things that I'm this close to being able to talk about publicly, and I wish I could tell you right now because they're really exciting, but I guess I'll just have to come back. And the last one is we have contracted with an exhibit design firm to help us write a master plan. That's going to help us redevelop all of our permanent exhibits. It's going to help us identify how to tell an overarching comprehensive story of the history of the Yuba Sutter community. And I just want to drive that point home. I know I'm almost at my time limit here, but we really do consider ourselves to be the museum for the entire Yuba Sutter community. We do not restrict ourselves to talking about Sutter County stories in the museum because you all probably know even more than I do. Yuba Sutter really is one community. There's a reason why so many agencies say Yuba Sutter in their name. How many cars do we see back and forth across that bridge every day? And our goal is to tell the story correctly. You cannot do that when you're basing it on arbitrary man-made boundaries like county lines. So we're going to work towards actually becoming the Yuba Sutter Museum on paper eventually, rebrand again. But for now, just know that we do try to be inclusive for both sides of the river and for all of our community. So there will be more coming on that project in the near future as well. Thank you. So that's my presentation for you today.
Well, thank you very much, Jessica.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you'd like to add or say? Nothing? Always a good time over there. And it's another thing besides the improved displays, and nice to also hear that your attendance, I think that's the word you use, is up.
Yeah.
But you're also becoming quite a fun venue.
Yes.
For events and whatnot, between Edel Hall and the museum itself and whatnot. So that's good. So keep up the good work. You've made some really noticeable, significant, and positive changes out there.
Thank you.
Can't be easy, I'm sure.
No,
Thank you
but
very
it's
much.
fun. So, yep. Thank you so much.